All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today and see, if these two Google searches, local search and city search, have BSS, yes or no. So we're here in the GBC universe. We're taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pinned video, pinned profile, pinned post, whatever. That's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if we're bringing in people from the entire intent ladder, highest intent on the left to lowest intent on the right, boudoir photographer business is rising. And if we're not doing that, boudoir photographer business is falling. Pretty simple. Over on the left here, we talk about BSS. So the videos here, it's the highest intent peeps. People search for boudoir photo shoots on Google, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. So highest intent search, closest to the money. We want to dominate that first. And over at the end, BLCS, that's our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where right now we only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So that's some other profiles out there in the universe. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So if we got 0 slots on page 1, we're hurting, we're screwed. So I mean, we're on page 2 or 3 or somewhere later. And we also know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They page 1 only, they stay on page 1. So this is the bulk of people searching. The bulk of searchers, approximately 80% of all searches. So we actually want to cater this approximately 80% bulk. This is the bulk of the market. We don't care about the 20% that go to page 10. We don't care. Let's be the best in the universe at capturing these 80% that stay on page 1. So 0 slots, bad. 1 slot is bad because then, dude, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're if we got 9 other competing boudoir photographers on our on page 1, okay, they got 9. Buyers are just clicking down, going down clicking every link open on, sending a message to every single person, getting a quote from everyone. And we're not standing out at all. They probably don't even they don't even remember our name. They're just clicking through all 10, us and 9 other competing boudoir photographers. So this is a diagnosis. It's the most common diagnosis actually I've seen with across all boudoir photography businesses. Also, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. It's not normal to have that small number of slots on Google. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. These 2 deeper root causes are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about, and the false belief of page 1 equality, which basically nobody knows about. So market saturation, obviously, more boudoir photographers entering the market seemingly every week. Every time anyone gets a new iPhone, they're sending out their Google My Business profile saying they now shoot boudoir, or they're, saying, they got their website, they're competing for page 1, maybe even giving out page 1, and kicking us off. Or they're getting a new camera, and now they're posting them on Facebook groups saying they also shoot boudoir. So more and more boudoir photographers are always entering the market. That's never going to change. And so that's market saturation. Everyone's used to that. COVID had a massive blast to that. People needed to earn income, couldn't work, and now actually needed to became boudoir photographers. So massive glut of boudoir photographers entered the market. The one that almost nobody knows about is the false belief of page 1 equality. So page 1 equality is basically assuming, everyone, everyone gets either 0 or 1 slots page 1 of Google. More photographers come in, they might kick me off page 1. Now I got 1 slot on page 2, but that's how it is. It is what it is. It is how it is. And hopefully maybe I get back, someone leaves, someone shuts out their website, I go back to page 1, or maybe I go on to page 3 eventually. And it's kind of something people accept it. But this is a false belief. And I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google in 10 days. So I know Google will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And so I feel like most people there's never been a word for this, the false belief, for page 1 equality. People just there's never been a word to describe it. So I feel like people haven't really thought about whether they believe in it yes or believe in it no. But people's actions have told me it seems like people just have accepted it, right? Because they never I don't know, had explicitly a word to say, oh, do I believe in that or not? So, and also this false belief of page one equality has been the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses that I have ever seen. You'll get relegated to page 2, they disappear. They're, pretty quickly after their business disappears because referrals only last for so long. You can only spend so much ad money. CAC, customer acquisition cost, always goes up over time. It's the new people that have never heard about us yet that always, always, always sustain a business. We also know that a boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Dude, because we're from page 2, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never hitting page 2. So we're disappearing, and pretty fast after that, our business will be disappearing as well from existence. And if we got one slot on page 1, well, that's the scariest number on page 1 because we are one person could kick us off to page 2 if they take our slot. And also, we look the same as the other 9. If there's other 9 slots or 9 boudoir photographers, we look the same. Nothing special. You know, they're clicking through all the links, contacting everyone, price shopping everyone. And so it's like 0 or 1, most likely disappearing. For 0 1 both, you know, local and city search. So we got our universe building up here. Disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the 2 horns of market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. But luckily, BSS, boudoir search sameness, is treated with social search saturation. So our SQs methodology is our proprietary solution we've created. And been mastering it, building it over about the last 7 months. And ready to bring it to market. And with SQs methodology, we can actually take it as many page 1 Google slots as we actually want for whichever keywords we want. Instead of Google PPC, you know, you get 1 extra text ad. Okay, who cares? Dude, we want to hit the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 organic slots and up, you know, 4, 5, 6, 7. And this SQs methodology, it's social search saturation. So we saturate social search first. And then once we saturate social search, Google recognizes that and it flows to us saturating page 1 of Google search. So page 1 Google search is actually the byproduct of saturating social search. And this is actually the only, this is the only thing I've seen that actually is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. So imagine we're in Topeka, Kansas, where one boudoir photographer we got. There's 1 million total boudoir photographers competing in this city. Everyone's got their own website, everyone's ranking or trying to rank page 1 on Google. But we crank S-cubed methodology to the max. When we crank S-cubed methodology to the max, let's say we saturate social search, you know, the first 300 slots for the highest intent keywords across all social platforms. And also, as a result, we capture the first 300 slots organic per Google. Well, there's 10 organic slots per page on Google, so that's literally the first 30 pages that we saturate. So when anyone ever looks for a boudoir photographer in our city, anywhere they look, they search on social or they search on Google, we're basically the only one that they can find, even though there are literally 999,999 other boudoir photographers. And so whose business is growing? Ours, even though our market saturation has never been higher. And our business has never been growing faster because we captured so much, search intent or so many search slots. And so again, this is the only solution that I've seen that is able to successfully fight back against market saturation. Obviously, more market saturation, the more you got to crank the S-cubed methodology. But at least we finally got something. Finally got something that gives us some hope. Now, once our BSS is treated with S-cubed methodology, we have page 1 visibility. So we kind of escape market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality, and we achieve page 1 visibility. Now, a bonus of this is we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So yeah, dude, every new slot we take on page 1 on Google, we're kicking a boudoir photographer out of there, relegating them to page 2 or deeper. And we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. That's literally 80%, the bulk of the market. It's never going to see them on Google. And same if we do, across all social search platforms. So this is a bonus of doing using the S-cubed methodology, kind of reducing the amount of boudoir photographers we're being price shopped against, or buyers even though exist. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So we're no longer at 0 slots on page 1 or 1 slot on page 1. Technically, we can do it with 2 slots on page 1, but we want to get to the GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 for local search and city search. Now, boudoir search visibility, if we can get to 3, that's kind of our big hump we want to get over. because we're definitely gonna stand out more than all the other boudoir photographers that have one slot on page one on Google. And there'll be times when another boudoir photographer will have two slots on Google, page one on Google. But if we got three, I mean, we're dwarfing everyone. So we finally achieved page. It activates boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So this is our universe. We got, disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the two horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. That's fine. We got a solution now. S cubed methodology. And we achieve page one visibility. So we overcome market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. To achieve page one visibility, become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. So I'm going to look at me using a S cubed methodology here. I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. And come down to organic. Got Instagram slot 1, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So in 10 days, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. And again, this is the only solution I've ever seen that can successfully outcompete market saturation. And it has its own, has its own momentum to it. Where ads, if you stop trying to do them, momentum instantly drops to 0. That's on Google and on Facebook. All right, so now we're here, the main event. We're gonna say this boudoir photography business has BSS for their local search. Gonna see if they have it for their city search. All right, so here we go. Boudoir photographer, Roseville, California. So let's see what we got here. All right, we got one. Let's see. All right, we got two. All right, so we got 2 out of 10. So we do not have BSS for the local search, but we did not hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 out of 10. So now let's look at the full city search. Sacramento. So let's see here. Let's see, we got nope, 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 nope. Nope. All right, so it looks like we got 0 out of 10 here for Sac. All right, so we're missing a bunch of Sacramento peeps. All right, so final verdict, we got, well, we do not have BSS for Roseville, the local search, but we did not meet the GBC minimum, recommended minimum of 3 out of 10. And for the city search, yeah, we got BSS. We're at 0 out of 10 there. And we're actually, we also did not meet the recommended GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 organic page 1 Google slots. So if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local searches, your city searches for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your areas, and you're saying you have BSS for at least one of those searches, or you're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 of Google search for at least one of those searches, and you've accepted that the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief, and Google actually will give us and wants to give us as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you've been looking for some like SQ methodology. SQ methodologies, your one path forward that you can see that'll actually help you, get all these slots. And you like the initial benefits, more slots page 1 Google search, and you really like kicking your competing boudoir photographers off page 1 Google search, effectively making them invisible to approximately 80% of the marketplace. You like those. You also understand the market saturation. Yeah, more peeps become boudoir photographers over time. Okay, yeah, who doesn't know that? But you're thinking ahead and you're being like, man, AI is taking more and more peeps jobs. Last time that happened, COVID, and people lost their jobs, but people still had to earn money. So everyone's got a high-powered smartphone, ultra-powered camera. So tons of peeps became boudoir photographers then. So you're like, oh no, there's actually gonna be more and more and more boudoir photographers entering the marketplace because they lost their jobs, still gotta earn money. Way above and on top of the people that are simply naturally are upgrading their gear. So you're actually realizing, man, I actually got to fortify my position on page 1 and I have like so many page 1 links that Google ranking me for on page one, that Google actually runs out and starts putting my page one worthy links to force them to start filling out page 2, 3, and 4. And you need to fortify because you actually got to keep current competing boudoir photographers from ever ranking page one Google search, and as also any new boudoir photographers that come in losing their job due to AI, remember ranking page one Google search. So you got to fortify your position, like fortifying those levees down in Nolens, Louisiana. And so you're liking that future benefit, kind of fortification. You want to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility, because you need these things on your way to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. You also understand execute and SQ methodology correctly every single day. We're actually throwing up basically creating invisible thematic keyword columns in our brand, kind of attached, plugged into our brand. And as a result, we're building up this like massive backend AI keyword mindshare with all these highest intent boudoir buyer keywords plugged into our brand. So every new day we execute this, we get the benefits of higher probability being recommended here, AI overview right at the top, most premium organic placement on Google search or any search, whoever's using Bing search out there, and also increasing the probability that AI apps recommend us in parallel. ChatGPT search, Claude search, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini, they all run on the same backend thematic keyword kind of mindshare system, where it's looking at repetition, relevance, age, authority with all these different keywords. And that AI searches, dude, it's getting larger and larger, more and more and more every single day. And so, like in those feature benefits, and actually last time I did AI search with boudoir photographers in a city, it was with ChatGPT, and dude, it returned me 3. When I did a manual search, Google search, manual Facebook search, I found like 60. So I was like, man, we gotta get these slots any way possible. And you're seeing SQ methodology is the only thing that kind of enables the speedy creation of these invisible thematic keyword columns compared to any other solution out there. You also like the future benefit, building a large, well-known brand approximately 8x faster than normal methods, or methods everyone else is using, because we're doing much higher volume across many more surfaces. And you also understand that since my current plan is to only work with one boudoir photographer per city, you also like that you have a chance to get all these benefits and prevent all your competitors from getting these benefits, so you can actually build up a massive backlog of page one worthy links ahead of your competitors, and build up massive backend AI keyword mindshare again ahead of all your competitors. Basically make a big gap between all your current competitors and future competitors as AI takes their job, and kind of in preparation for that. And well, I mean, it's already happening already. And because of that, you decided to be first mover in your city, adopt this technology, be the first one so you can box everyone else out, because you understand the converse is if one of your competing boudoir photographers in your city signs on with me to use this first, then you're actually going to be, well, in order for you to compete, you're going to have to increase, or actually for first, you'd have to rederive SQ methodology for yourself. Well, actually derive it for the first time for yourself. And you would never actually be 100% confident you've derived it correctly, because we're the ones that invented it. And as a result of that, you'd be, you then have to equal our execution every single day in order to, and that would happen after that is you would maintain the gap that we currently have ahead of you, me and your competitor. So to make any headway, you'd actually have to double or triple our execution every single day. And in order for you to do that, well, you still wouldn't be even 100% confident executing this strategy, because you wouldn't be 100% confident you've correctly derived SQ methodology in the first place. And you'd be looking at all this and be like, dude, who's got 80 hours per day to do all this stuff? And so you realize all that, and you decide, oh, screw that. You're simply going to be the first mover in your city, because this opportunity is too good to pass up. And so if that's you, shoot us a DM. Hospital is currently closed for new patient intake, so even if you want to work with us, you cannot. But when the hospital does open for new patient intake, shoot us a DM, and we will see if you qualify for utilizing our S cubed methodology.